Welcome back to the week 10 and 11 of Can You Learn Japanese with ChatGPT? I hope everyone had a nice week since the last video, but without further ado, let's take a look at what we learned over the last 2 weeks. Before we start, like always, let me know that I'm neither a teacher nor a linguist, so all the conclusions and impressions are a result of my personal experience and opinion. I do try my best to look up stuff when necessary, but I can't fully promise that everything is totally bias-free. I also saw that YouTube now offers a quiz option, so I will be trying this out this video. Essentially, I will ask a question, and then possible answers should pop up on the screen, which you then can choose from and click on. After you've clicked on the answer, it should show you if you've gotten the question right or if you've gotten it wrong. That is as long as I do it correctly. To start off, let's list all the vocabulary of the last 2 weeks. As the grammar mostly focused on verbs in those 2 weeks, most of the vocabulary consists of verbs as well. The verbs would be tabemas, to eat, nomimas, to drink, mimas, to see, okimas, to wake up, nemas, to sleep, hatarakimas, to work, kaerimas, to go back, kikimas, to listen. The rest of the vocabulary would be itsu, when, uchi, home, hyo, today, kino, yesterday, eiga, movie, and ongaku, music. Next would be the kanji. Note that for kanji you have 2 different ways to read them, the kun and the on version. For the following kanji I was only told the kun version so far, so don't be too surprised if in later videos you will suddenly have 2 options for those kanjis. So the kanji would be ta, to eat, no, to drink, mi, to see, chi, hour time, pun, minute, asa, morning, yoru, night, evening, iki, train station, ne, to sleep, ki, to come, gaku, study, learn, ko, building, school. Now let's try the first question. What is the kanji for night? A, asa, B, yoru, or C, eki? The answer is B, yoru. For the grammar part, we will start with the different pronunciation of minute in Japanese, pun and pun. When you start listening to the time in Japanese, you will soon realize that depending on the number, you either use pun for minute or fun. Why that is has mainly to do with 2 reasons. First is of historical nature. Many words, including the numbers, which nowadays end with H, F, or G, did originally end with the P sound, a diacritic. When you try to say the time in Japanese, that lost P tends to reappear because it is inherently easier to pronounce. This would also bring us to the second reason, which is efficiency. Sounds, words, and syllables aren't created the same while spoken. While some use the tongue, others make more use of the vocal cords, and so on. If you say ichi-fun, you will realize that you will need to stop the airflow after the chi in order to pronounce the fun afterwards. It's far easier to say ipun, as this can be done in essentially one breath, for lack of a better phrase. You can try this yourself by saying both options a few times in a row in quick succession. Ichi-fun, 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 ipun, 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 ipun. You see, I could say the ipun far quicker. Now let's take a quick look at how to use fun and pun for the first time numbers we learned. For ichi, roku, hachi, and shu, you use the stronger P sound. For san and yon, you use the softer P sound. And for the rest, you use fun, which is the standard. Looking at the examples, ippun, sampun, and nifun. The second question for you would be, when you want to say 2 minutes in Japanese, you use A, fun, or B, pun. The answer is A, fun. Next would be basic grammar rules in order to use the verbs. First, let's take a look at the present tense. Our example sentence throughout this unit will be Watashi wa pan o tabemasu. I am eating bread. The general sentence structure is subject, watashi, plus wa, plus noun, object, pan, plus verb, ta or tabe in this case, plus suffix. As you can see in the examples, the connotation of the sentence, so in other words, if it is positive or negative, depends on the used suffix. So for the positive sentence, you add a suffix mas. If you negate the sentence, in our case it would be I am not eating bread, then you add a suffix masen, which would change our Japanese sentence into watashi wa pan o tabemasen. Now for the past tense, again, it is only the suffix that changes. For the positive, you add mashita, making it watashi wa pan o tabemashita. I ate bread. For the negative, instead, we can substitute the sen part with the shita part, as that too would make mashita. But adding it just like that, which would make it masenshita, isn't an option either. If you try pronouncing it yourself, you will realize that similar to the issue with fun and pun prior, you would need to reset your breath, vocal cords, whatever, in order to pronounce the shita part directly after the masen. So they make use of desu by adding its past tense deshita, making it watashi wa pan o tabemasen deshita. I did not eat bread. If you would translate it more directly, by keeping in mind that desu means am, is, are, it would be something along the line of me not eating bread was the case. So the next question for you would be, for the present tense negative sentence, you use deshita. A. Yes, or B. No. The answer is no. You use it for the past tense negative. Next, let's discuss the particles ni, de, and e. Admittedly, they originally confused me somewhat as they can be translated with the same particle in English, so let's take a look. First would be ni versus de. Ni is used to indicate that a person or subject is going to a specific place or is at a specific place. Let's look at the example, Gakko ni ikimasu. I'm going to school. The watashi wa is redundant here, as the context can be inferred through who is saying it. Ni is placed after the location and right before the verb, connecting the two. De, on the other hand, is signifying that something is happening at a place or that the subject is doing something at a place. So it shows us the location of a specific action. For example, koen de hashirimasu. I run in or at the park. Both do follow the same general sentence structure, which is subject plus wa plus place plus ni or de plus verb. Additionally, de is also used to indicate with which transportation method a subject is reaching a location. For example, hikoki de ikimasu. I am going by plane. Next, ni versus e. The e may be a bit confusing at first glance, and it uses the hiragana for he. The h is not pronounced though. The usage and meaning of the ni stays the same here as on the previous slide. It signals that the subject is going to a specific place. In comparison though, the e indicates that the subject is going towards the general area or direction of a location. For example, Gakko e ikimasu. I'm going towards the school. To simplify the explanation a bit, ni indicates the specific destination, while e is used to focus on the direction or a path that is used to go somewhere. So the next question would be, which hiragana is used to indicate that someone is doing something at a mentioned location? A. Ni, B. E, or C. De? The answer is C. De. Now ni isn't just used to indicate a location, but is also used to indicate a specific time. Let's look at this example. Shichichi ni tabemasu. I eat at 7 a.m. The ni directly follows the exact time and connects the time indication with the action or verb. If we look at this next example, shichichi ni pan o tabemasu. I eat bread at 7 a.m. We can see that the ni always is attached to the time. The time is always listed in the beginning of the sentence, and while in the first example we had a verb following the ni, here it is the object pan, meaning bread. So the time plus ni doesn't always need to be followed up with a verb, but rather with the sentence component that makes the most grammatical sense. As an object is always mentioned before the verb action it is affected by, we have the resulting sentence structure of time plus ni plus object plus o plus verb in this case. Now an important note is that not all time indications need a ni affixed to them. Only specific time indications like 7 a.m. or for example 10 p.m. and so on need a ni. In the example, today I eat bread, Kyo pan o tabemasu, you can see that there isn't a ni to be found. This is because broader or more general time indications don't need a ni. Next would be iku versus kuru. Iku and kuru respectively mean to go away from someone or something and to come towards someone or something. So they are two opposites from each other. As they are both verbs, they need a suffix masu and need to be conjugated when used in a sentence. Which one is used depends from which perspective we are speaking. Let me show you this through some examples so that it's clearer. Let's visualize the perspective through a camera. The camera will be our reference point. In the first example, you are at home, so this is where you place the camera. Now you are saying, I am going to school. As the process of going to school means leaving your house and therefore going away from the camera, we would use ikimasu in this case. So the correct sentence would be gakko ni ikimasu. For the next example, you are still at your house, so the camera is placed there. Now you are saying, a friend is coming to my house. As your friend is coming towards you, and therefore coming towards the camera, you now need to use kuru. So the sentence in this case would be tomodachi ga ie ni kimasu. The last example shows you a difference in English versus Japanese. You are still at your house and a friend is calling you and asks, do you want to come to my party right now? In English, you would answer, I am coming. To come would be kuru in Japanese, right? But as you are speaking from your perspective, in other words, the camera is still placed next to you in your house, by agreeing to come to the party, you move away from the camera. So you need to use ikimasu in this case. The last question for this video would be, which verb is used when you are saying, I am going to the park while being at school? A. Ikimasu or B. Ikimasu? The answer is B. Ikimasu. The last unit for this video would be imasu versus arimasu, which both translate to there is, are. Both are verbs and both mean the same. So where is the difference? The difference is their usage. Imasu is used for living things like when you are saying neko ga imasu, there is a cat. On the other hand, arimasu is used for inanimate objects, like your cup of coffee or books. Kon ga arimasu, there is a book. And with that, we have finished these 2 weeks. So thanks so much for watching, and I will see you next time.